Hello learners, welcome to a new launch for the week. Last week we talked about setting goals and you created SMART goals, and I looked them over, gave some feedback. Some of you need to fix a few things and return them, so please do so. Making sure you're completing your attendance each day. Okay, it's just like a brick and mortar school. You attend school, you go to homeroom. Like I said, this is sort of like our homeroom. So if you are attending school today, it's Wednesday, you go into Wednesday's homeroom and you complete the goal, the question, whatever it is, and you submit it. Okay, so please make sure you're doing so. And then, I make comments and I get it back to you. Okay, so this week we're talking about planning. Okay, so let me make the presentation here a little bit longer or bigger here. Okay, so this is all part of the self-directed learning cycle. We set a goal last week, then we're planning, and then we're going to keep moving along our circle here. But I had some really great goals, some great ideas. There was a little confusion, like I said, with some things, but I made comments, and I gave it back to you. Also, please make sure you're hitting the done button, turning in your work when you're completed. I have a few learners that simply forget to do that, and I don't know you're finished. So I can't grade it, okay? So you have to make sure you hit turn it in, done, the button that allows me to look at it. Okay, so goal setting. Remember, we talked about making your goals SMART. So we're going to take about what we learned last week. You can use your goal from last week if it was an academic goal. If it's not, think of an academic goal that you could reach. Make sure it's very specific, it's very measurable, attainable. It has to be relevant, and it has to be time-based. That's the thing a lot of learners would forget. They would forget about the time-based. You don't want to just sort of let your goal floating out there. It needs to be given, I will do this by such and such. And a lot of the learners who picked academic goals, they picked by marking period, they picked by the end of the year, and they gave themselves certain percentages. They said, I will achieve such and such percentage of this. I will achieve this, grade, and it was definitely attainable. It was definitely very specific. It was very relevant to their education. Okay, so just make sure that you're thinking SMART as you write it. So very specific. That's the thing. Don't leave it vague. Like, I'm going to do well in school. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, very specific. Okay, so here's a larger picture of the self-directed learning cycle. So what do you want to learn, your goal, like what are we setting out to do? And then we're going to talk about planning this week. So what do you need to do in order to achieve that goal? How are we going to set a plan in motion to achieve that goal? Okay, and then we'll talk about the other steps further on here. Okay, so why do we, why make a plan? Why do we need a plan? Okay, so we go from goals, setting goals, to creating a plan. So an academic plan helps us organize our time, because that can be a pretty big issue. You get sidetracked, especially at home. I have people often ask me, do you work from home? And I say, no, I go into the office. And they're sort of surprised. And I said, I actually like going into the office. I, get to bounce ideas off of other coworkers, and it keeps me focused. Where at home, I kind of feel like maybe sometimes I would stop to get something to eat more than I should, or maybe I would start doing laundry and get sidetracked, or maybe my phone would be a little too close to me. Okay, so sometimes you need to organize your time. And like I said, you have to stay focused. You can't be distracted and, realize, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be doing work, and I'm watching the new episode of whatever it is you're watching. And it helps us follow through on our goals, because you see the time, you see it's due. You see you set, this time slot for this. Okay, so it's time to do it. Okay, so making a plan, what can it look like? So you kind of sit down and you say, okay, this is what my activities are that need done. We have to study these terms. We're going to look at similes, metaphors, personification, and we're going to give ourselves some time. Sometimes it's better to set aside a little extra time, because things sometimes take a little longer than you expect. And then as you complete them off, you can kind of check it. I sometimes make a list of things that I have to get done for the day, and then as I complete them, I check them off, I cross them off, and you can do the same sort of thing. You're making yourself a plan, except this is a little bit more specific with time slots. And sometimes it actually is very good to have the times, okay, the 15 minutes to 10 minutes, and you can even be more specific and put it in an actual time management chart, and I'm going to show you that as well. Okay, so tools to help you plan. We have our Google Calendar. We have our time management sheet. You guys were introduced to Google Calendar a few weeks ago again, and let me bring this up here. I really don't know what I would do without my Google Calendar. I don't put everything on this that I should. Like today is the new students for onboarding. I have 2 new learners coming. It should be on here, but you can see like I have Learning Lab tomorrow. I have an ESL meeting on Friday. So you can see, you know, some general things on here, and this is a slower week for me. But yeah, sometimes my calendar is completely full, and it's not a bad thing. Like I said, if you want to put your math on here, but you should make a plan in order to achieve it. The other thing that I really like, and I put this in your About page in Connexio, is your time management sheet. Okay, and this is really helpful. If you know, go in and sort of slot out some times. And this explains how to do it. You know, identify, you know, leave time for things that, you know, and there's some hidden time. So, you know, leave things, I said, you know, write yourself a lunch. You know, we get a lunch break here. Usually around 12:30 is when we figure it in, half an hour. So, you know, that's part of my day. And so if you want to write out your schedule, you know, try to stick to a specific schedule as much as you can. It's going to allow you to really plan. So your reflection question for today, name at least one reason you need to make a plan in order to successfully achieve a goal. So if you want, you can go back and look at slide 4. It was titled Why Make a Plan, and it'll give you some suggestions about why we actually need to make a plan. And then you'll submit this to me in the, you know, the doc that's provided for you. Now the upcoming week here, we are going to do a plan organizer. We're going to make sure to make our plan realistic and achievable. And there's going to be a little link here. I'll show you this. So the activity, different things like that, the time is completed. So these are a few things that are coming up this week. Like I said, it's all about planning. Okay, trying to make your life a little easier rather than, you know, waking up at 11 and hoping to get everything done for the day. This is a more realistic thing. And just like a goal, it has to be, you know, the goal needs to be very specific. This plan needs to be realistic. It needs to be planned out very well with times. It could be days, but this is going to help you achieve your goal rather than just saying, I will get to it, or I hope to get to it. You'll say on Monday, this is what's going to happen. On Wednesday, this is what's going to happen. I have a lot of learners who work, so I said, you know, you should have some sort of calendar type thing, and you should be able to figure out when you can get your schoolwork done. So if you work 12 to 5, you need to get up in the morning and you need to get your attendance down. You need to check your email. You need to start your classes. And then when you come home at night, you need to put in a couple more hours. You need to work around it. Okay, or if you work a lot during the week, then you need to put in extra hours on the weekends. But you need to make a plan. You need to be organized in order to be successful here at CPDLF. Okay, so if you have any questions, of course, reach out to me. Email, Hangouts, phone call, whatever you need. Okay, so have a successful week. Thanks. Bye.